If your erections have grown softer, less reliable, or even completely gone missing, this may be the most important message you hear all year. You've been told that aging is the culprit, that after 60, it's simply inevitable to lose strength and firmness. But here's the surprising truth. In many cases, it isn't age alone. It's the food you're eating every single day. What's on your plate right now could be steadily destroying your circulation, weakening your blood flow, and stealing the vitality you depend on. Imagine this: you wake up one morning and the confidence you used to take for granted has vanished. You might think it's just the calendar catching up, chalking it up to getting older. But before you resign yourself to low energy and uncertain erections, consider that every bite of processed carbs, sugar, and fake fats slowly narrows the pathways your blood needs to travel. Over years and decades, plaque builds inside your arteries. That plaque makes it harder for blood to surge where it needs to go, especially to the one area that relies on steady, robust blood flow above all else. Now, I'm not here to deliver a lecture or guilt you into feeling bad about your life choices. Instead, I want to shine a light on a simple but powerful opportunity. The same foods many doctors warn you to avoid for your heart can actually be transformed into tools to restore your circulation, boost your hormones, and rebuild your manhood. Picture swapping out a bland processed dinner for nutrient-dense choices that fuel every cell in your body, including the ones responsible for rock-hard erections. Over the next few minutes, you'll learn 3 specific foods backed by clinical science that can help open those clogged vessels, ramp up your testosterone production, and make you feel like yourself again, maybe even better than before. But that's not all. I'll also introduce a bonus nutrient that doesn't come from a plate, but from sunlight, one that if you're low on it can sabotage even the best dietary changes. Finally, you'll discover a cutting-edge formulation designed to amplify nitric oxide, naturally giving your body that extra push when daily life makes it hard to stick to fresh produce. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why your performance has changed, and you'll have a clear roadmap for how to fix it without resorting to risky pills or procedures. So let's dive straight into why aging doesn't have to mean reduced performance and how a few smart tweaks can completely rewrite your story. I'm Henry Carter, a men's health specialist and urologist with more than 30 years spent working alongside men exactly like you. Over those 3 decades, I've seen countless patients walk into my office, feeling defeated, convinced that soft or erratic erections are simply the inescapable consequence of hitting your 60s or 70s. They've been told their bodies are just winding down, that there's no hope beyond prescription medications or invasive treatments. But I've also seen something else. I've watched men reclaim their confidence and vitality when they understand the real drivers behind their symptoms. In all my years treating older men, the #1 mistake I've witnessed is assuming age is the only factor. Yes, testosterone naturally declines over time, and yes, it takes a little more effort to keep your vessels clear as you age. But aging itself isn't the sentence. It's the stress-poor diet and lack of targeted nutrients that compound over the years and rob you of your peak performance. I've worked with business owners, teachers, veterans, all professions, all backgrounds, who walked into their 70s believing their best days were behind them. But when they focused on restoring vascular health and hormone balance, they rediscovered strength, stamina, and confidence they thought they'd lost forever. If your energy levels feel low, if your morning erections have faded, or if you simply feel off in the bedroom, trust me, you're not alone and you're not out of options. Throughout this video, I'll share real science-backed strategies that have helped hundreds of men over 60 regain firm, consistent erections naturally without dangerous side effects. Whether you're still working full-time, retired, and enjoying family life, or somewhere in between, these tips are designed specifically for the male body at this stage of life. You're about to see why what you've eaten for years can either destroy or restore your circulation, why simple foods can turbocharge hormone production, and how one overlooked nutrient from the sun can make all the difference. By the time we're done, you'll have everything you need to move forward with confidence, knowing that age doesn't have to mean diminished performance. Let's get started. Foundation of every erection. Before we dive into the specific foods and nutrients that can transform your performance, it's crucial to understand one fundamental truth: an erection is first and foremost a blood flow event. Without adequate circulation, nothing else matters. No supplements, no pills, no promises. It doesn't matter how much testosterone you have, how strong your desire is, or how often you exercise. If your arteries are clogged, narrowed, or inflexible, your body simply can't deliver the volume and velocity of blood needed to achieve and sustain a firm erection. Think of your arteries as highways and blood as the traffic. In youth, those highways are wide open, cars can sail through at top speed. But over years of eating processed foods, high-sugar meals, and unhealthy fats, plaque begins to build like roadblocks. Each sandwich, each sugary snack, each quick-fix meal adds a little more obstruction until suddenly your highway has narrowed to a single lane. Now traffic slows and fights to move forward. You might still get from point A to point B, but it takes more time, more pressure, and sometimes when the buildup is too severe, traffic simply can't make it through at all. That's what happens to your penile arteries as plaque accumulates. They may look open on the outside, but internally they've been gradually constricting, cutting off the constant surge of blood that's essential for a rock-hard erection. I'll never forget one patient in his late 60s, a retired engineer, who came to me convinced the loss of firmness was purely a hormone thing. When we ran his labs, his testosterone was slightly low, but nothing catastrophic. What really stood out was his vascular profile, significant plaque buildup, and reduced arterial flexibility. He'd spent decades on a sedentary job eating convenience foods and ignoring mild chest discomfort. He assumed a weekly golf game was enough exercise, but his inner arteries told a different story. When we focused on improving his circulation, reducing inflammation, clearing plaque, and promoting vessel flexibility, his erections returned long before we even considered any hormone therapy. He discovered the hard way that without open highways, the blood simply can't fill the engine. Now let's break down exactly why blood flow matters. When sexual arousal begins, nerve signals trigger the release of nitric oxide in the penile tissue. Nitric oxide is a signaling molecule that instructs the smooth muscle in your arterial walls to relax. When your arteries relax, they expand, allowing a rush of blood to flow in and engorge the corpora cavernosa, the two sponge-like chambers inside your penis. As those chambers fill, pressure increases, trapping the blood and creating rigidity. In a healthy system, this happens almost instantly. Think of a dam opening and water flooding the reservoir. But if your arteries are stiff, plaque-ridden, or inflamed, that opening narrows. The rush of blood slows to a trickle, and you end up with a weak, inconsistent erection or nothing at all. It's important to realize that by age 60 or 70, arterial health has been under silent attack for decades. High blood sugar spikes from refined carbohydrates, repeated exposure to unhealthy trans fats, chronic stress releasing cortisol, all of these factors gradually damage the endothelial lining of your vessels. Endothelial cells produce nitric oxide, so when they're impaired, your body loses its natural ability to dilate arteries effectively. In effect, you're driving on a damaged road with potholes and barriers, making it nearly impossible to reach top speed. That's why so many men incorrectly assume their hormone levels are the sole issue. In truth, hormone deficits often result from poor circulation, not the other way around. Recognizing this, our goal is to restore endothelial function, clear plaque, and maximize nitric oxide production. When we address circulation, first testosterone and other hormones work far more efficiently. It's like clearing the roads before adding performance parts to your engine. With a clear path, even modest improvements in hormone levels can lead to dramatic results in firmness and stamina. Over the next sections, you'll discover 3 powerful foods designed specifically to support vascular health and hormone production: grass-fed beef arugula and pumpkin seeds. You'll see how each one targets a different aspect of circulation, whether it's providing key minerals to relax vessels, supplying natural nitrates to boost nitric oxide, or feeding your body the raw materials to produce healthy blood. We'll also cover a bonus nutrient from the sun, vitamin D3, that further amplifies the process. But remember this: as you move forward without healthy, flexible, unclogged arteries, none of these foods or supplements can do their job fully. Restoring blood flow is the foundation. Once you have that, everything else falls into place. Food number 1, grass-fed beef, the hormone restorer. When it comes to rebuilding strength and boosting hormone levels after 60, the first powerhouse food I recommend is grass-fed beef. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, red meat, I've been told to cut it out for heart health. But here's the key distinction. When you choose the right kind of beef prepared correctly, it becomes one of the most potent tools for restoring testosterone, supporting circulation, and reviving your energy. First, let's clarify why grass-fed matters. Cattle raised on pasture eating fresh grass develop a very different nutrient profile compared to grain-fed cows in feedlots. Grass-fed beef contains higher levels of omega-3 fatty acids, more vitamin E, and significantly more conjugated linoleic acid CLA. But the two nutrients we care most about for hormone health are zinc and iron. Zinc is absolutely essential for testosterone production. Without adequate zinc, your body simply cannot manufacture the luteinizing hormone signals that tell your testes to produce T. Iron, meanwhile, supports hemoglobin formation in red blood cells, ensuring oxygen is carried efficiently to every tissue, including the small vessels in your penis. Let me share a story. A 72-year-old retired teacher walked into my clinic convinced he needed an expensive hormone patch. He'd cut red meat out years ago on a friend's advice, but over time he lost more than just a few pounds. His energy plummeted, his mood became flat, and his erections all but disappeared. When we checked his labs, his zinc levels were low, his iron stores were suboptimal, and his testosterone was below the normal range for his age. Instead of jumping straight to hormone therapy, I suggested he reintroduce grass-fed beef twice a week, 6 ounces per serving, alongside a balanced vegetable intake. Within 4 weeks, his morning erections returned. By 8 weeks, he reported more energy, stronger workouts, and the confidence that comes from knowing his body was functioning like it used to. Now you might wonder, how should I prepare it? Isn't red meat still risky? The truth is that preparation and portion size matter. I'm not advocating a daily half-pound burger drenched in cheese and bacon. Instead, aim for a lean-cut sirloin, top round or flank steak cooked medium rare or medium to preserve nutrients. Avoid charring the meat, which can create harmful compounds. You can season simply with sea salt, pepper, and perhaps a dash of garlic powder. For added benefit, top your cooked steak with a thin slice of raw cheese such as young Gouda or cheddar. Raw cheese provides vitamin K2, which works alongside vitamin D3 to keep your arteries supple and free of calcium buildup. Let's break down the mechanisms in simple terms. Zinc, found abundantly in grass-fed beef, acts as the spark plug for testosterone synthesis. By eating 2 to 3 servings per week, you supply your body with the raw materials it needs to ramp up T production. You'll notice improved libido and more consistent morning wood as your testosterone climbs back toward healthier levels. Iron ensures that your blood remains oxygen-rich, which helps all tissues, including your penile chambers, function optimally. Without adequate iron, you could feel fatigue, short of breath during exertion, and struggle to achieve the sustained blood flow critical for a firm erection. Grass-fed beef also contains B vitamins, particularly B12, which support red blood cell formation and neurological health. That's important because nerve signals trigger the initial cascade of events that lead to an erection. When your nerves and red blood cells are in top form, the entire process becomes smoother. Nerves send the signal, nitric oxide is released, vessels relax, and blood floods in. Another advantage of grass-fed beef is its CLA content. Conjugated linoleic acid is known to help maintain lean mass support, healthy metabolism, and reduce inflammation. Chronic inflammation can damage your endothelial cells, the lining of your arteries responsible for producing nitric oxide. By lowering systemic inflammation, CLA helps protect the very vessels you need open and flexible for peak performance. Of course, variety matters. While grass-fed beef should be a cornerstone of your diet plan, it shouldn't be the only protein you eat. Rotate in fatty fish, like wild-caught salmon, for omega-3s, free-range poultry, and plant-based proteins such as lentils and beans. But when you do include beef, make sure it's grass-fed, unprocessed, and as clean as possible. Always avoid heavily processed meats. Hot dogs, lunch meats, and sausages are loaded with nitrates and preservatives that can harm circulation rather than help it. Finally, be mindful of portions. A standard serving of 6 to 8 ounces twice a week is sufficient for most men over 60. Combine that with plenty of non-starchy vegetables, healthy fats like olive oil, and whole food sources of fiber to keep your meal balanced. By making grass-fed beef the foundation of these meals, you provide your body with the hormone-supporting nutrients it needs without overloading on saturated fat. For hundreds of men I've treated, this simple dietary shift, reintroducing high-quality grass-fed beef, has been the turning point. They regain lost muscle mass, rediscover consistent firmness, and feel more energized throughout the day. As we move into the next section, you'll learn how another everyday food, one you've likely overlooked, plays a critical role in amplifying circulation and taking your results even further. Stick with these steps and you'll see that age doesn't have to mean surrendering your vitality. Food number 2, arugula, the blood flow booster leaf. Now that we've addressed hormone restoration with grass-fed beef, let's turn our attention to the one leafy green that most men walk right past on the produce aisle, arugula. If grass-fed beef rebuilds your hormone foundation, arugula supercharges your circulation. Inside every peppery bite lies a secret weapon: plant-based nitrates. When you eat arugula, those nitrates convert to nitric oxide, the very molecule responsible for relaxing and opening your blood vessels. And as you've already seen, without open vessels, you can't achieve or sustain a true, rock-hard erection. Picture a retired Navy veteran in his late 60s who'd spent years believing his best days in the bedroom were behind him. He'd tried sleep-light exercise, even herbal remedies, all to no avail. When he first came to see me, his vessels were stiff, his nitric oxide production was minimal, and his morning erections had vanished. Rather than jump straight to prescription therapy, I asked him to add one simple habit: 1 cup of fresh arugula with lunch each day, drizzled with a little olive oil and lemon. No complicated meal plans, no expensive supplements, just straight arugula. Within 2 weeks, he emailed, "Doc, I think my wife is more surprised than I am." His morning wood returned, his midday energy improved, and he felt more alive at a time in life when he'd begun to accept decline. Here's why arugula works so effectively, unlike artificial nitrates. In processed meats, arugula's nitrates are clean and unprocessed. Once you chew that leaf, your saliva begins the conversion process, turning nitrates into nitrite and then into nitric oxide. That nitric oxide signals your arterial smooth muscle to relax instantaneously, widening the pathways for blood flow. Let's break that down. Think of your arteries as flexible garden hoses. When you turn on the faucet full blast, a clear, supple hose allows water to gush through effortlessly. But if the hose is kinked or rigid, water dribbles out instead of rushing forth. In your body, nitric oxide acts like the gardener's hand, straightening the hose, ensuring maximum flow. In practical terms, improved nitric oxide means more blood flooding into your corpora cavernosa, creating that deep fullness and rigidity you remember from younger years. Another advantage of arugula is its antioxidant profile. It's loaded with vitamins A, C, and K, plus powerful flavonoids that fight oxidative stress, one of the main culprits behind endothelial damage. When you reduce oxidative stress, you protect the very cells lining your arteries, preserving their ability to produce nitric oxide naturally. Over time, consistent arugula consumption helps maintain vessel flexibility, lowers resting blood pressure, and supports overall cardiovascular health. And when your heart and vessels are in prime condition, erectile function follows suit. Now you might be thinking, how can I make arugula taste less like lawn clippings? Fortunately, it has a versatile peppery bite that pairs well with many flavors. Try mixing it with lightly grilled chicken, tossing it under a warm strip of grass-fed steak, or stirring it into a simple salad with olive oil, lemon, and a pinch of sea salt. You can also blend arugula into smoothies alongside berries and whey protein for a morning nitric oxide boost. The key is to keep it raw or lightly wilted so you preserve those sensitive nitrates and antioxidants. One common mistake is overdressing or cooking arugula too aggressively. High heat can degrade nitrates, and heavy dressings dense in sugar or processed oils can negate arugula's benefits. Instead, opt for a gentle chiffonade torn leaves rather than chopped and drizzle extra virgin olive oil or a squeeze of fresh lemon. If you prefer a warmer prep, add arugula at the last moment to sautéed vegetables, letting residual heat wilt it just enough without turning it into mush. For seniors, especially those over 60, it's often easier to overlook small dietary additions. But that 1 cup serving per day can make a dramatic difference. In clinical terms, a single cup of arugula contains roughly 250 milligrams of nitrates, enough to spike nitric oxide levels by 20 to 30% within hours. That spike relaxes your arteries, lowers blood pressure, and primes your body for firmer erections. And because arugula also delivers fiber folate and vitamin K, you're simultaneously supporting gut health, DNA repair, and bone integrity. Remember the veteran who regained his morning wood. Over his next check-in, his blood pressure had dropped 2 points, his arterial flexibility was measurably improved, and he reported feeling more energized overall. When you pair arugula with weekly servings of grass-fed beef, you create a synergistic effect. Beef builds hormone levels, while arugula optimizes the vessels those hormones rely on. In the next section, we'll turn to another small but mighty food, pumpkin seeds, that fills in the mineral gaps too many older men overlook. But before we move on, integrate arugula daily. Even on days you're short on time, toss a handful of those peppery leaves into your omelet, your soup, or your post-lunch wrap. Your body and your erections will thank you. Food number 3, pumpkin seeds, the mineral powerhouse. Now that we've covered hormone restoration with grass-fed beef and supercharging circulation with arugula, it's time to turn our attention to a small but incredibly potent food, pumpkin seeds. Often tossed aside after autumn holidays or overlooked on the supermarket shelf, these little seeds pack a mineral punch that's essential for men over 60. In my years of practice, I've seen how even a modest daily serving of pumpkin seeds can transform energy levels, circulation, and erection quality, because when it comes to erectile health, minerals are the unsung heroes. Let's start with magnesium. By the time most men reach their 60s and 70s, magnesium reserves frequently dip into a deficiency. Magnesium plays a vital role in relaxing smooth muscle tissue, especially within blood vessels. When your vessels relax properly, they dilate, allowing a greater volume of blood to flow through. Think about that garden hose analogy again. If your arteries are like hoses, magnesium is the element that keeps them supple rather than stiff and kinked. Without sufficient magnesium, your arteries resist expansion, making it nearly impossible to achieve the robust blood flow needed for a firm, sustained erection. Pumpkin seeds are one of nature's richest, most bioavailable sources of magnesium. Just a quarter cup of raw, unsalted seeds delivers roughly 150 milligrams of magnesium, enough to meet a significant portion of your daily requirement. In addition, pumpkin seeds provide a substantial dose of zinc. Zinc, as we discussed earlier, is crucial for testosterone production and immune function. A daily zinc boost from pumpkin seeds supports both hormone synthesis and wound healing, 2 areas that tend to slow down as we age. But that's not all. Pumpkin seeds also contain selenium, iron, and healthy fats, each playing a supportive role in male health. Selenium acts as a powerful antioxidant, protecting your endothelial cells from oxidative stress. By preserving endothelial function, selenium maintains the cell's ability to produce nitric oxide, working in concert with arugula's nitrates. Iron ensures that your red blood cells are capable of transporting oxygen efficiently. Without oxygen, no amount of vasodilation can create a sustainable erection. Your tissues simply won't receive the oxygen they need to engorge properly. Let me share a patient story. A 72-year-old grandfather came in feeling frustrated and worn down. He told me he hadn't experienced a firm erection in over a year and that he felt constantly fatigued. His blood work showed borderline low magnesium and zinc levels, and his blood pressure was creeping higher than I'd like to see. Instead of immediately prescribing medication, I suggested adding a quarter cup of raw, unsalted pumpkin seeds to his daily routine, sprinkled on oatmeal stirred into Greek yogurt, or simply eaten by the handful. 4 weeks later, he walked into my office with a grin I'd never seen on him before. "I think I'm back, Doc," he said. His magnesium and zinc levels were back in range, his blood pressure had dropped a few points, and most importantly, he reported stronger, more consistent morning erections and renewed energy throughout the day. So how can you integrate pumpkin seeds into your life? It's simple, and you don't need elaborate recipes. Start by measuring a quarter cup each morning, roughly a small handful, and sprinkle those seeds over your breakfast. If you're having oatmeal, toss them in before the milk or water. If you prefer a smoothie, blend them right into the mix for an instant texture boost. For those who don't like their seeds, lightly toast them in a dry pan over low heat for a minute or 2, just enough to release a nutty aroma without turning them crispy or salty. The key is to keep them raw and unsalted, so you avoid excess sodium and preserve the full mineral content. Beyond their erectile benefits, pumpkin seeds also support prostate health. The zinc and selenium work synergistically to protect prostate tissue, reducing inflammation and potentially lowering the risk of benign prostatic hyperplasia. That's particularly important for men over 60 who face an increased risk of prostate enlargement and hypertension. By choosing a simple, affordable food like pumpkin seeds, you're not only bolstering your circulation and hormones, but also safeguarding long-term pelvic health. Pumpkin seeds also deliver healthy omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids in a balanced ratio, which supports balanced inflammation and cardiovascular function. As we've seen with arugula and grass-fed beef, reducing systemic inflammation is critical to maintaining healthy vessels. Pumpkin seeds keep inflammation in check at the cellular level, so your arteries remain flexible, your nitric oxide production stays high, and your erections respond when you need them to. Finally, the beauty of pumpkin seeds is consistency. You don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. By simply committing to a quarter cup every day, you build mineral stores gradually. Over the next 4 to 6 weeks, you'll notice more reliable, firm erections, higher energy, and improved mood. And when you pair pumpkin seeds with your grass-fed beef meals and daily arugula habit, you create a trifecta of dietary interventions that comprehensively support both your vascular system and your hormonal balance. As you move forward, remember, small changes in mineral intake can lead to large improvements in function. With pumpkin seeds, you're grabbing a powerful, wallet-friendly tool to restore your body's natural capacity. In the next section, we'll cover a bonus nutrient, vitamin D3, that further amplifies everything you've already done with these foods. But for now, grab a handful of pumpkin seeds and take comfort in knowing that nature has provided one of the simplest, most effective ways to reclaim your strength and confidence. Bonus nutrient, vitamin D3, the erection hormone. Now that you've harnessed grass-fed beef, arugula, and pumpkin seeds to rebuild hormones and circulation, there's one more critical piece: vitamin D3, what I like to call the erection hormone. Vitamin D3 isn't found on your plate, it's made in your skin when ultraviolet light hits. Yet without it, even the best dietary changes may fall short. Let me explain why. Vitamin D3 plays a direct role in testosterone production. When your D3 levels dip, your luteinizing hormone signals weaken and your testes don't crank out as much testosterone. Beyond that, D3 supports healthy blood vessel function. It helps reduce inflammation in the endothelium, the lining of your arteries, so those vessels stay flexible and responsive to nitric oxide. In essence, without adequate vitamin D3, your body's ability to produce both testosterone and nitric oxide is compromised. Consider a 65-year-old widower I treated who felt like nothing he tried was working. He was eating grass-fed beef twice a week, adding arugula daily, and snacking on pumpkin seeds each morning. Yet his firmness was inconsistent and his energy still lagged. When we tested his labs, his vitamin D3 level was dangerously low, under 20 nanograms per milliliter. Once we started a two-pronged approach, 15 minutes of midday sunlight 3 times a week, plus a daily 5,000 IU vitamin D3 supplement, everything shifted. Within weeks, his energy surged, his sleep improved, and most importantly, his nighttime and morning erections returned reliably. He told me, "I never realized sunlight could feel this powerful." Sun exposure remains the gold standard, about 15 to 20 minutes of unfiltered sun on arms and legs 2 to 3 times per week, ideally between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. when UVB rays are strongest. But for many men over 60, especially those living in cooler climates or spending most days indoors, a high-quality D3 supplement is essential. Aim for at least 5,000 IU per day, taken with a fat-containing meal, so absorption is maximized. Why does vitamin D3 matter so much? First, it directly influences luteinizing hormone, which signals testosterone synthesis. Low D3 parallels low T, and that spells low libido, reduced muscle tone, and flabbier vascular responses. Second, vitamin D3 modulates inflammation. Chronically inflamed vessels resist nitric oxide, making it harder for blood to flow freely. With adequate D3, inflammatory markers drop, endothelial cells recover, and nitric oxide production ramps up. Third, vitamin D3 supports mood and energy, 2 factors that indirectly affect sexual performance. When you feel more alert and positive, you're more likely to stay consistent with diet and exercise changes that complement your erection plan. There's also evidence linking vitamin D3 to improve pelvic floor function. Strong pelvic muscles help maintain rigidity by preventing blood from draining too quickly. By supporting muscle health and nerve signaling, D3 enhances every step in the erection cascade. In short, vitamin D3 is the silent partner that ensures every other intervention diet nitrates minerals works at full capacity. To recap, if you've added grass-fed beef for zinc and iron, arugula for nitrates, and pumpkin seeds for magnesium and zinc, but you're still missing the final spike in results, check your vitamin D3. Without it, even the strongest meal plan will hit a ceiling. Commit to safe sun exposure when possible, and supplement with 5,000 IU daily to keep levels in the optimal range, 50-70 mg/ml. With vitamin D3 support, your testosterone climbs, inflammation retreats, and your vessels open wider, laying the groundwork for stronger, more consistent erections. The cutting-edge circulation amplifier. Now that you've rebuilt your hormonal foundation, maximize nitric oxide with arugula stocked up on essential minerals and optimized vitamin D3. Let's talk about a final tool to supercharge your results. Nitric boost. Even if you follow every dietary step perfectly, life can sometimes make it hard to get fresh produce, consistent sun exposure, or precisely measured portions every single day. That's where Nitric Boost comes in, a clinically formulated supplement designed to elevate your nitric oxide levels beyond what food alone can achieve. Nitric Boost combines 3 key ingredients: L-citrulline beetroot extract and pomegranate polyphenols to create a potent synergy that amplifies nitric oxide production. Here's how it works once you take Nitric Boost. L-citrulline converts to L-arginine in your kidneys, and L-arginine is the direct precursor to nitric oxide. Meanwhile, beetroot extract provides an additional nitrate source, which follows the same conversion pathway you get from arugula, but at a higher, more consistent dose. Finally, pomegranate polyphenols protect nitric oxide from early degradation, allowing it to linger in your bloodstream longer, keep your vessels relaxed, and facilitate sustained blood flow. Imagine this scenario: you've added arugula to your lunch, but it's a busy day and tomorrow's weather forecast won't allow for sun exposure. Your vitamin D3 levels dip. Or perhaps you can't find fresh, high-quality arugula at the grocery store. By taking Nitric Boost each morning, you guarantee that your body maintains an optimal level of nitric oxide, even on days when fresh produce is scarce or sun time is limited. One 71-year-old patient told me, "On days when I missed my salad or didn't get outside, a single scoop of Nitric Boost made my midday erections feel as strong as any I've had since my 50s. That consistency is critical. Your arteries need daily stimuli to remain flexible and responsive. Nitric Boost also helps prevent the nitrate plateau that can occur when you rely solely on dietary sources. After a certain point, additional arugula or beet greens provide diminishing returns because your body can only convert so much nitrate at once. By providing both L-citrulline and concentrated beetroot nitrates, Nitric Boost ensures you hit that optimal conversion threshold every single day. And because pomegranate polyphenols extend nitric oxide's half-life, the effects can last for hours, supporting stronger erections in the bedroom and healthier blood pressure throughout your day. In practical terms, I recommend taking Nitric Boost first thing in the morning with a small glass of water, no need to mix with a sugary sports drink. On days when your meal plan might slip, say you're traveling, entertaining family, or simply busy, this supplement acts as an insurance policy for your vascular health. Within 2 weeks of consistent use, many men report firmer morning wood, higher exercise endurance, and more predictable performance when the moment arrives. Ultimately, Nitric Boost isn't a replacement for whole foods or healthy habits. It's the accelerator that drives everything you've built so far to its fullest potential. When combined with grass-fed beef for hormones, arugula for baseline nitrates, pumpkin seeds for minerals, and vitamin D3 for overall endocrine support, Nitric Boost ensures your body never falls short of the nitric oxide threshold it needs for rock-hard erections. Keep your arteries primed, your nitric oxide flowing, and trust that with Nitric Boost, you're giving yourself the clearest path to peak performance any day of the week. Mindset shift: reclaiming your second prime. As you implement these dietary and supplement changes, I want you to pause and recognize something vital. Age does not mean decline. Too many men in their 60s and 70s believe their best days are behind them, that once your body changes, you're simply accepting a lower tier of performance. But that's not reality. What you're doing right now, choosing nutrient-dense foods, optimizing circulation, and supporting hormone balance signals to your entire body that it's time to rebuild, to regenerate, to perform better than it has in years. Think of this as your second prime. Just as a fine wine takes time to mature, your body's ability to produce testosterone, maintain flexible blood vessels, and recover quickly becomes stronger with deliberate, consistent care. When you committed to grass-fed beef, you gave your body a hormone-building blueprint. When you incorporated arugula, you taught your vessels to relax and expand. Each handful of pumpkin seeds reminded your muscles and arteries that minerals matter. Every dose of vitamin D3 told your cells they're still capable of robust production. And by adding nitric boost, you guaranteed your body never runs short on the nitric oxide it needs for peak performance. Now imagine waking up with confidence, knowing that you haven't surrendered to age, that you're in control of your body's vitality. Picture bedrock firmness without second thoughts, energy that fuels your day, and the mental reassurance that comes from knowing you're actively driving this transformation. That shift in mindset, believing that you're not past your prime, but entering a new chapter, changes how you approach every meal, every workout, and every moment in life. I've watched men who once avoided sex for fear of failure rediscover enthusiasm and joy. I've seen husbands who thought intimacy was over find renewed connection with their partners. Those transformations begin not just with food and supplements, but with the belief that you deserve strength, vitality, and passion at any age. Embrace that belief. Treat each meal as an investment in your future, each supplement as a reminder of your potential, and every small win, like a firmer morning erection, as proof that you are indeed in your second prime. So as you move forward, remember, the best years may still lie ahead. Commit to these habits, trust in your body's capacity to heal, and carry this mindset forward. Your vitality, confidence, and performance aren't relics of your past. They're waiting for you right now. Conclusion. By now you've seen how each element, grass-fed beef arugula, pumpkin seeds, vitamin D3, and nitric boost, works together to rebuild hormones, restore circulation, and support firm, reliable erections. Here's what I want you to remember. Consistency is key. Stick to this plan for at least 4 to 6 weeks and track your progress. Note improvements in morning erections, energy levels, and mood. If you hit a plateau, review your portions or double-check your vitamin D3 and nitric boost intake. Now it's your turn. If you're committed to reclaiming your vitality, drop a 1 in the comments so I know you're on this journey with me. Share your questions or experiences. Every story helps others feel less alone. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you never miss an update. This channel is dedicated to helping men over 60 thrive, and your support ensures these life-changing strategies reach more men in need. If you found value here, share this video with a friend, a brother, or anyone who deserves to feel strong again. And for those days when fresh produce or sun time is scarce, check the link in the description for Nitric Boost. It's a simple way to maintain nitric oxide levels and keep your vessels primed. Remember, age is just a number, but health is a choice. Take these tools, make them your own, and watch as your body responds. Your second prime is waiting. Embrace it.